Coverage from Devcom has been brought to you by Rive. More on them later. Hey everyone, we're here at Devcom, as you can see. I'm just wanting to bring you along and show you a little bit how does the conference look like, what is going on all around here, what are things to do. We've got some meetings, we've got some talks that I want to go to, mainly surrounding publishing. I'll make a separate video about that should be linked here because it should come out before the full, this video comes out, because this is gonna come out on Wednesday, I think. And I just kind of want to show you how does a conference like Devcom work? How do you maybe get to experience some of it online? And should you even come here? Does this make sense for an indie developer to go to Devcom? Because, you know, Gamescom, everyone's like, yeah, Gamescom is worth it. I personally think Gamescom is worth it if you're from the EU in general. For me, it's very easy because it's a 2-hour drive to get here. But I want to see a bit more Devcom. This is more of the serious big business approach for game developers. Is it actually worth it or not? So let's go. I'm gonna go throughout today. I don't know how many clips that I'll record, whatever, but I'll bring you guys along, talk to you tomorrow as well, and I'll see what this turns out to in the edit. But basically, I want to just bring you guys along. So yeah, let's go. So I just finished the keynote, which was way better than the one at Develop Right. There was no depression this time, no talks about the layoffs and things like that. It was more about how do you do narrative for your game, basically. How do you do the story? And how does everyone get it wrong, basically? Don't just do cutscenes, don't just do dialogue, but all of the other ways that you can implement story into your game. And I think this is something that not for Unicycle Pizza Time, there's no story in that. It's a game we make in 1 month. But for Guild Architect, for example, we definitely have quite a bit of focus still on story without doing any dialogue. So it's thanks to world building, the little dialogue snippets, for example, from the little quest queues you pick up. Things like the music even matter. And just how people are dressed, the entire environment, all of the props, those are all part of your narrative as well. And the talk was basically a 1 hour long PSA of, hey, don't just write giant lore dumps and dump them onto your player, but there are many better ways to actually show that. So now I'm gonna go ahead back down to the conference center, walk around for a little bit, and then I have a meeting scheduled with the sponsor of my coverage here, Rive, but for that I'm going to have to switch out of this t-shirt. So let's go. Hey yo, what's up everyone? I don't know, should I do sunglasses? Yes or no? Let's do a no. It's day 2 and I'm actually walking away from the conference. It's behind me over there somewhere, but I'm not going there right now. So right now it's a little bit past 9. Why is that? Well, you may have heard this before for these large events like GDC and Gamescom, like, you don't even need to have a ticket. Just go to the area and there's like a bunch of events and things like that surrounding it that are honestly more worth it if you want to do things like networking and whatnot. And the thing is, that's true. I'm going right now to the Steam networking breakfast thing. And I think I'm not sure what it's gonna be exactly, but those are like the events that are more casual, that are less I don't know, event focused and more just on talking to people. So I hope that maybe I can find some cool stuff there. Maybe ask them about what the hell is going on with Steam. But knowing that these events exist and actually trying to go and find them and go to them, you can generally start looking for them a few weeks in advance before the conference. Things like Eventbrite is a really good site where you can just look up the location or look for the term Gamescom or GDC. You can find a whole bunch of after parties, mixers, breakfast events like this as well. And overall, I think it can be a good thing to just go and visit some of those as well and not just stay in the conference the entire 2 days, because then you're not really getting the full experience. Let's go there now and then I'll go back to the conference later on. I just finished going to Valve. It was honestly awesome. Honestly, I think there was more value almost in just going to that single talk versus all of the Devcom event. My hair is very windy once again. So now the event is over, so it is time to head back to Devcom. I think next thing I'm gonna do is walk you around the expo floor and talk a little bit of how does this look, because there are a few parts of Devcom. So, these conferences in general. You have the talks, which is a big one, but honestly, I don't think you should go to too many talks. You have people who just go to talks all day. I think that's dumb. You have the expo floor where it's a mix of companies and games being showcased as well. And I think I want to just show you a little bit what that's about and talk to you about how does that entire thing work. So I have a 10-minute walk and then I'll see you in the Devcom event. So one of the things you see often at these events like GDC or Devcom, Gamescom, whatever, is these indie arenas basically. And I'm here with one of the developers of one of those games showcasing at the indie arena, Born Monkey. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about what's your studio and also what made you come here? Why were you hey, I think this is something that I want to do, I want to showcase my game and things like that?
I'm from Born Monkey. I'm the lead developer and founder. We are working on an action horror game called Occult Chambers. We applied for the program, Indie Showcase, and we got selected, and that's why we are here showcasing the playable build. Yeah.
So you apply and then you get a free boot, or how does that work?
Yeah, we applied and they select, there's a jury and then they select, 20 games or 30 games and they get to showcase to the whole world here at Devcom. Yeah.
And what are like the things you were hoping when you came here? Like what was the idea here of, hey, I'm gonna showcase my game, publishers gonna swarm up to me and be like, hey, I wanna fund this, or what was like the thought behind, because you're not from around here, you had to come here still, it takes some time and money to fly here and hotels. What made you be like, hey, this is gonna be worth it?
I think this is the first time we are showcasing the game globally, right? Like this is the first time we are outside India and showing it to people. That in itself was very exciting for us. And on top of that, maybe introductions to publishers would itself be great. Just meeting publishers and later down the line something might happen. So being face to face, meeting them here would possibly be better than just cold emailing them. So so that is one thing that I was very excited for. To attend Devcom for sure. Yeah.
And has that been the case? Has this been worth it, or what have been like now that we've been 1.5 days almost? How has the reality been?
Not many publishers here in the near the booth, but I did manage to meet like good professionals that are working in AAA, AA. Got their feedback on how the game is, where I could improve it and whatnot. So yeah, like it's been great. I mean, hopefully in the next few days I'll meet more publishers or people who could help us make the game better. Yeah.
So overall, looking back, you think so far it was a good idea to still pitch to the whole indie arena thing and get selected?
Yeah. It was pretty good. Yeah. Like it's still great experience.
So what's the name of the game? I think I missed it. Where can they go and wishlist it and things like that?
So it's called Occult Chambers. It's on Steam. You could probably
Okay, I'll put some footage up.
Yeah.
So, okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm back at my favorite spot here at Devcom, these little lovely sun chairs. And I just wanted to talk a bit more about one of the other things that these events are a big of. I showed you the expo, I've showed you the networking events. One of the things that I think is the biggest trap of these kinds of events, Develop Brighton, Devcom, even like Unity Unite, for new like visitors basically, is the concept of going to talks. Because all of these events, like GDC as well, they have a lot of talks that are going on around them. And it can be very tempting to just fill up your entire day calendar worth of going to different talks. I've gone to 3 from this conference, and already some of them I was kind of disappointed by, because those talks generally last 1 hour. You even have some round tables that are like 1.5 hours long. And I think, especially for these 2 days events like Devcom, they're not worth it. You can maybe do like 1 or 2 or 3 maybe, but there are people here where they have this need to do like, oh, I need to go to every single talk, I need to like fill my calendar. And that's not the move here. If you want to just go to talks, like you can just watch this YouTube channel, you can go to the GDC YouTube channel. There's so much stuff here. You're traveling all the way to an event like this for sitting in a classroom. That's not like, it's the trap for the beginning developers. Like you go to a few, but don't go to all of them. There's much more stuff here. Like for example, like right now you can't sit, but there's like a giant open seating area where you can just go and talk to people and learn that way. You're going to learn more by just going up to a random person who, big chance, has something that you can learn from as well, and you can have an actual one-on-one conversation instead of like what I did. I was just stuck for the past hour in a talk about company values and culture. And I'm just like, my dude, I don't even know if I'll exist in 3 months. Having values and like good vibes and whatever isn't going to give me any money. It's not my focus right now, but it's like, hey, you're stuck here. You better listen to how to hire, how to do company values and all of that, because you can't just leave at that point as well. It's just very weird. So I felt like, hey, I just wasted an hour. And if you have that a few times in an event that takes like 10 hours a day at most, you're losing a lot of the conference experience already there. So if I could give you one tip, it's just really look at what are the talks about, and which ones do really matter to me. For me, it was the publisher ones, because those were already somewhat in depth as well. But there are also so many of them that are like a bit meh. It's similar in Develop Brighton. I went to a talk and it was about like a guy who did AAA trailer. He also, like, that one is a funny one where he thought that like, hey, only AAA interested people would come here, but it was all indie devs. And there was such a big disconnect between what he was talking about and what the audience wanted, what I wanted and things like that, that it's generally not that worth it to go to them. Anyways, the conference is almost over now, so I'm gonna hang around a little bit more and then I'll give you my final thoughts. So I'll see you later. We're here at Gamescom now. Devcom is officially over. It's Tuesday, so the event isn't open yet. But I just wanted to take this moment to talk a little bit more about, how was Devcom? Is it a good experience? Should you go to it? What were my thoughts about it? And I'm gonna just say it. I think it's not worth it for pretty much everyone in our audience. If you're watching this and you're an indie developer and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna go to Devcom and I'm gonna pitch my game to publishers and I'm gonna earn $1 gazillion, I have bad news for you. You're not going to get much out of this experience. Honestly, I think this is the best way I can describe it. We made a video last year about how Unity Unite wasn't really worth it. I think this event was less worth it than Unity Unite. Unity Unite has gone up a little stage. Maybe at some point I'll do an event tier list. I think Develop Brighton was also still better in terms of the vibes that were there, the things you could do, the people that were there. I think here it just felt a bit too... corporate is a bad way to say it, but it didn't feel like, really us indies fit in here. It was more for bigger companies, bigger studios, and sure, yeah, there were some like the indie arena and the indie pitches and things like that. I showed you it as well. Once again, those are one of these things that the cost for the guys still to come here probably isn't worth it, to be honest. It's like, it's a cool thing to showcase and be like, hey, I've been to Devcom, but I think it's a little bit of straight up hopium, is I think unfortunately the best way I can describe it, where it's like, oh yeah, but I've been to Devcom, so definitely people who publish me now. No, not really. Even if you have a booth up there, you'll get a lot of feedback, but also speaking from someone who has done like events up to 2 days basically, non-stop pitching our game and doing all of that, it generally isn't really worth it. There's not that much you can get out of it. So Gamescom, on the other hand, I have high hopes for. This is an event that has never disappointed me, so you can tune in like the next few days after this as well. We'll be making a ton of content there. I will not be a solo host anymore. The rest of the Bite Me team will be here. They'll be helping me make these videos as well. So I hope that there still was an interesting thing. I think I give you most of the idea of how does Devcom look. I think the only thing it has going for it is that it's just the 2 days before Gamescom. And if you're from the EU or you're from Cologne or whatever, they give a lot of free tickets to students. They're kind of handicapping you in how much you can do with those tickets. But still, if you are from like Cologne, like I met some viewers, they are from Cologne, they can get the free tickets. Yeah, of course it's worth it then, but do not travel across the Atlantic for Devcom. It's not worth it. That's basically what it comes down to. There are way better things you can do with your money, like for example, investing it in like getting more art for your games. I think that's realistically something that you're gonna need more than going over there and pitching your games for no real result. I made a video all about publishing and pitching here as well that you can check out over there, I think, or over there. I don't know, honestly. It's too complicated, too tired. So I hope I gave you a good idea of how this event works. If you have any questions, of course, about Devcom, more thoughts about it, either leave it in the comments down below or head on over to our Discord. I'll also link that one down below. Once again, also, thank you to Rive who made this possible. Like, I still made money from this, so keep that in mind. If I was not going to do the Rive sponsorship and things like that, this event, I would be crying here. I would never do this again. For me, this works because I have a win-win where I have those sponsors, where I can bring you guys along for showing you basically what it is, but I don't think it's worth spending. These tickets are $800 for like the business tickets. VIP tickets go over $2,000. That is probably not going to be something you're going to get a return on investment on. So with that out of the way, we're going to be making a lot more content, like I said. So you want to make sure that you're subscribed down below. Really, it helps us out as well just to see the number grow up, because I can do more of these sponsorships, so I can show you also more of the development scene. But that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was still a useful video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! So once again, coverage of Devcom has been brought to you by Rive. If you're looking for a beautiful and simple way to add vector menus to your game, there's no easier way than Rive. It's completely free to get started for indies. There's a link down below to get started. They also have a Discord, which I'll link down below, where you can also find more information about the product. I think it can be a great thing for making very pretty UIs and not just gray blobs on the screen. And also, once again, I just want to thank Rive because they've made this coverage and this video specifically possible because of that. So go and check them out, and thanks for watching.